Live.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and how are you doing tonight? My name is Cornel. I am the co-host of Talk About It. And this Talk About It show tonight is being brought to you by the Food Podcast, which is Mrs. Angela Thomas Smith. And we thank you for being here tonight. Mrs. Shanette Johnson will not be with us tonight, but she will be, listening in, to be able to get, a good understanding of what's going on tonight. But tonight's show, we're going to be talking about inhumane prison conditions and how it has come to a point to where inmates are getting sick and trays are nasty and things of this nature. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to open up and try to bring awareness to the fact that we want to give a thanks to the Crew Podcast and let's talk about it for bringing awareness to our state representatives, our Texas senators, our governors, and all of the people here in Texas who are responsible for trying to ensure that we're, in safe prison conditions. So tonight, I want to share something with you that, it's called appeal addressing inhumane conditions at the Fabian Dale Dominguez State Jail Facility. And tonight, it reports that inmates have reported being subjected to poor conditions, including one functioning shower and approximately 85 people, 58 people per section. And that these conditions have gotten inmates sick, or inmates are being forced to not be able to shower. Inmates are being forced to not, be able to wash their hands, anything like this. So tonight we want to share to you and say thank you very much for joining in because we want to show that the Crew Podcast and Let's Talk About It has shed a light on these issues and that our state representatives, our prison officials and directors have all come down here to actually see these conditions. Thanks to the Crew Podcast and let's talk about it. So tonight I got an individual who would like to give thanks and show that these conditions are being met. Right now they are fixing windows, they are fixing showers, we have all of our toilets working, and we are able to speak to these individual lawmakers and state representatives, Mr. Carter, the directors and everybody to get our conditions under control. So we want to say thank you very much for joining us, and we want to have an individual to come in and give thanks to y'all and show that these conditions are being met. So here he is right here. My name is Terry Yellow Joe Holiday. I would like to give thanks to the people, the women that help us on the get this illegal state jail conditions in order. I'd like to thank Angela Smith and Shanette Johnson for doing them things for us. I'd like to let y'all know that people came over here and took care of it to make sure all the glass in, all the toilets, everything is back working, water working, the water make sure everything gets done. I'd just like to thank that. So all the conditions that we in now are being taken care of. So I'd like to give thanks to everybody that has this place. The job has been done. And they still working on everything else too. I'd like to thank y'all. Okay, and with that being said, I would like to, show that, inmates here at the State Jail Felony Facility are, appreciating everything that, the Crew Podcast and Let's Talk About It, Miss Shanette Johnson and we're doing. And we appreciate the advocating because, the issue that we advocated about, how we live in these prison systems, and the issue that needs to be talked about, real issues because we're suffering in these prison systems, every day that, we're being forced to live here. And, we have people who live in these conditions that's, not being able to go home to their families because our parole board systems are not letting us out. Even though we have been granted parole over a year ago, here it is, our directors, are not making sure that these conditions are being met. So what we're doing based on the advocacy group of Mrs. Angela Thomas Smith and Mrs. Shanette Johnson, these people are now releasing inmates now. And we appreciate that because this is exactly what we needed, somebody to advocate on our behalf in order to show that, somebody do care, and that somebody needs to listen to what's going on behind these prison walls. So we want to thank you very much and say that Mr. Chris Carter, he came, Mr. Brewster, Mr. Adrian Brewster, he came, the director of TDC, Mr. Bobby Lumpkin, they came, the directors of TDC, Mr. Collier, they came. Everybody who needed to come over here to see these conditions, they came. And we appreciate that. So we want to show that, we appreciate the help that we're getting out there. And if anybody's listening to this podcast tonight, we actually are to get involved and to advocate for the real issue that we need to address to our lawmakers and our state representatives about not just prison conditions, about people being wrongfully convicted and overly incarcerated, about our broken parole board system, about our broken criminal justice system as far as court officials, sending innocent people to prison, and issues related to mental health, inmates in here, killing themselves because they're overly inducing themselves with drugs and conditions that they're being forced to live in. So we ask for the outside world to get involved with, advocating on our behalf to try to get our lawmakers and our state representatives and everybody to see that, these conditions can do better. They can be better. And we need this in order for us to rehabilitate back into society. Because that's what they're asking us to do, to rehabilitate. But they're not giving us anything to rehabilitate with. They're just letting us suffer in these prison systems day by day and to rotting away. And this is something that has to change. So, tonight we're asking for anybody who's listening to these podcasts to come in and to get with any advocacy group that, stand for core values of, trying to bring about the change that they desire to see in this world and this prison systems and our facilities, our institutions, and our juvenile facilities, and our court systems, and our county jails and stuff like this. And, we really want to say that, advocating is a very important factor. Because like as of right now, we have people sitting on death row who don't have nobody advocating on their behalf to try to see if they can stop and abolish the death penalty. Okay, because of the fact that a lot of people that are sitting on death row, these individuals have not been given psychological evaluations to put them on death row. But still, these people are being executed. And even though Texas leads the nation in exonerations and executions, still our court officials and our lawmakers are not doing enough to ensure that they're not actually executing an innocent person. All they're doing is pushing for executions. Our governor, he's a supporter of executions. So with this being said, we're asking for anybody who's listening to these podcasts, the Cool Podcast, and Let's Talk About It, or any podcast that support these values to stand up for us and to get involved in the show that there's more can be done in order to be able to stop our lawmakers and them from ignoring our situations. And had it not been for the Cool Podcast and Let's Talk About It to shed light on these conditions over here, nobody would have came. Nobody would have came. These inmates over here are suffering day by day, eating off of trays that are greased, trays that are being washed in trash cans, trays that are being washed in cold water because they don't have hot water on this unit. The officers are being allowed to drink out of water bottles from free water, but the inmates are being forced to drink contaminated prison water. And this is not right. So had it not been for the Cool Podcast shedding light and tagging everybody that needed it to be tagged, and Mrs. Shanette Johnson, for being able to reach out and tag people that she's tagged and advocate on our behalf, we wouldn't have had these people to come and show their concerns about, the issues that matter to us. And like I say, right now, here it is, they're here. And we see them. And we appreciate the fact that they're here. But now they need to address our issues. Get these inmates out of here that's already made parole. There's over 15,000 inmates already approved for parole. But they will not let these people go. So why are so many people that's already approved for parole still being held in prison? This don't make no sense. So we're trying to figure out why these people are not doing their jobs. Our rehabilitation system is broken. They're saying that we're supposed to rehabilitate back into society. But how can we rehabilitate back into society when they're not giving us anything in order for us to rehabilitate back into society? We're going back to the same areas that we left from the beginning with nothing. We don't have no jobs waiting on us. We don't have no re-entry programs trying to provide us with no jobs. We don't have no nothing through the re-entry program because they are not even coming on here to talk to us to ensure us that we have access to opportunities out there in the world to be able to go and get the things that we need to reintegrate back into society. And we're trying to figure out why is this going on like this? Why do we have a system that don't even care if we fail or not? But they tell us that they want us to reintegrate back into society. That's not right. So we asking for anybody that's listening to these podcasts tonight to be able to get involved and to be able to stand up and speak on our behalf and to address these issues. Tag your governor, tag your state representatives, tag your senators, and ask them to come and look at these conditions themselves. And to not just depend on no paper, nobody referring us to them on paper. As of right now, these people are passing inspections, and these units are torn up, these units are broken, contaminated, water, trays are nasty, no toilets are working, no showers are working. But these people are constantly passing inspections. How can that be possible? That's forging documents, man. That's what this is. This forging documents. So we're asking for everybody to get involved if you can. Up and push these issues to your state representatives about our prison conditions. Let's demand that they reopen the Ruiz versus the class action civil lawsuit and show that our prison conditions are still the way they were 20, 25 or 30 years ago. Let's show that our prison systems are overcrowded to the capacity. Our governor is trying to force inmates to be sent out of state to other prisons under the directions of the United States president, saying that he's willing to be able to send United States citizens to other countries. Why? Because of the overcrowding of our prison systems. This is not right. And we need for people to get involved and to stand up to our governors and demand that these people not be allowed to get away with the things that they're getting away with. As of right now, we're living in a place called Management Training Corporation. This is a corporation where these people are being paid to maintain us in a rehabilitation program. So we're being paid out to a private corporation under the executive branch of government. And we're being held day for day, even a year after we make parole. So who's responsible for this? People are supposed to have been let out a year ago, but they still live in prison under Management Training Corporation. And these people are not letting you go until you complete a program that you've already completed it while you have been in an institution. So why are you being forced to double take something that you've already completed it? This is not making no sense. So we're asking for people to get involved and for us to tag our governors and our representatives and ask them to get involved and ask why these issues are happening like this, and ain't nobody trying to say nothing to prove that we are being bought by private companies, inmates, and that we're not given anything to help us to reintegrate back into society. Our recidivism rate is 85% for people to return back to prison. Why? Because nobody in the free world and nobody's out there paying attention to what's going on. This is a revolving door that we're facing, an illegal revolving door. Why? Because our governor don't care. Our representatives are showing that they don't care. Our senators don't care. Our criminal justice system officials don't care. So if nobody cares, and if nobody cares, then we will always have an 85% recidivism rate. You know, some people are being wrongfully convicted of crimes they did not commit. This is not right. And we're asking for people to get involved in the show that mental health issues, needs to be addressed. The same as, the drug crisis in our prison systems and in our institutions. Kids are dying every day. Why? Because they're so caught up in fentanyl and methamphetamine and marijuana and stuff in our prison systems. How is it getting in here? It has to be coming in through officers who are claiming to be Texas Department of Criminal Justice officials. This is not right that they're bringing drugs in here to help kill inmates and people that's stressing and going through different issues. So we're asking for anybody that's listening to this podcast tonight to step up and ask for our governor and our state representatives to get involved and to do more to try to prevent these things from happening. because this is not right. And again, we want to say thanks to Mrs. Shanette Johnson of the group Let's Talk About It show, and Mrs. Angela Thomas Smith for your advocacy, for standing up on our behalf, for listening to our concerns. These inmates really appreciate y'all very much because they see that y'all have helped us. Without y'all, these people would not have came over here. So we thank y'all very much. And we will continue to bring complaints to y'all anytime we have complaints regarding our prison systems, regarding our prison officials, or anything that we feel that's concerning, man. The same is with our parole board system. It's broken. They don't have no communication with this program over here, but still they're putting us in this FI6 program. And that's not right. If they know that we're being put into this program and that we can't complete this program until we get here, some people don't get here until a year later. And still they have to do a completion of 6 months after getting here. So that's 18 months on an FI6 program. But how is that possible? If I made parole 18 months ago, that's not a parole, that's a set-off. But I can't leave until I complete. And then I have to wait 2 months to complete just to get out. Then if I'm in a halfway house, I have to wait until the state of Texas signs me a halfway house. That's another 5 months that I have to wait just to get out. These issues are issues that need to be addressed by our lawmakers. When we ask the people to stand up and to get involved and to find out what's going on with our system. Inmates are stressing over here, willing to commit suicide just because they're being forced to stay in prison longer than they have to. People want to get out. People are expecting to go home to their families. But because we're being bought by a private corporation, we can't go home. We have to wait until they decide to feel like they want to let us go, until after they get their money for holding us to these prison systems. So we ask the people to get involved and to listen to what we have to say. Because we're the ones who are being forced to endure these conditions. So please get involved. Please stand up on our behalf. Advocate for us. And we thank you very much for listening to us. We understand that a lot of times people don't want to get involved into these prison issues because they think that nothing's going to change. But again, we are the change that we desire to see. We have to stand up to these things. We have to speak out. We have to stand up. Because if we don't, nothing will ever happen. Because if we can't stand together for something, we always will stand alone for nothing. So again, come and join us. The Free Texas campaign here in Texas. We're trying to make sure that when issues are being brought out, that we too will stand up and speak out. And go to the Capitol and have these people to listen to what we have to say. Because that's exactly what we're going to do. We won't stop. These issues need to be addressed. So we ask anybody that's listening to this podcast tonight to get involved. And we want to thank you again, Mrs. Angela Thomas Smith, for allowing us this opportunity to have a voice. To have a voice. Because without a voice, we're nothing. And thank you, Mrs. Shanette Johnson, for giving us this platform too, ma'am, to being able to come onto your shows, ma'am, to be able to speak out about these issues. Because without it, ma'am, we're nothing. So thank y'all very much for allowing us this opportunity again. And like I said, the inmates over here, they want to say thank y'all very much, you know what I'm saying, for y'all advocating on our behalf. And we appreciate y'all very much. And yes, ma'am. And with that, ma'am, I would like to say that, you know, being a part of the Crew Podcast for the past, 2 years that I have been a part of the Crew Podcast, I have learned a lot. I have learned how to be a voice, how to stand up and speak, out about issues that's affecting our system. And I'm Cornel and I have been here a while, and I can speak this here. The Crew Podcast, and let's talk about it. I appreciate y'all very much. Why? Because I have now become to learn that a voice is very powerful when you're speaking about issues that matter. I have learned a lot. I'm confident now. I'm not scared anymore to stand up and speak out. So I would like to say thank y'all very much for teaching me and giving me this opportunity to have this voice. And as long as I have breath in my life, I will always stand up and speak out about these issues. And these inmates, again, say thank y'all very much. And with that, ma'am, we want to go ahead and say, for anybody that's listening to this, tag your state representatives, tag your senators, tag your congressmen, legislative governors, and anybody else that's willing to listen to what we have to say, because we need y'all support. And thank y'all very much. And thank you too, ma'am, for allowing us this opportunity again. Thank y'all very much. And with that, ma'am, I want to go ahead and close out and say we appreciate everybody for listening in. And again, please tune in with us for the next show of Let's Talk About It. And we will have a different, hopefully Mrs. Shanette Johnson will be back in. And she will be live with us. And she will share her stories with y'all about, you know what I'm saying, her progress. And we appreciate her every day for everything that she has done. She's a very powerful woman. And she's willing to, put herself, you know what I'm saying, on the line to let us know that she's standing with us. And we appreciate her very much for everything that she has done with us. And with that, we love you, Mrs. Shanette. Wherever you at, we love you. And we thank you and we appreciate you very much for all the hard work that you put in and for all the time that you give us. We know this is not easy, but guess what? We need you to hang in there and stay focused with us. And we love you very much. So with that, I want to go ahead and close out and say thank y'all very much for listening to Let's Talk About It tonight. And with that, I want to close out. Thank y'all very much. And thank you too, ma'am, Mrs. Angela Thomas-Smith, for allowing us this opportunity to have this show tonight. Thank you very much, ma'am. So with that, please, thank y'all very much for tuning in. Okay? That's nice. Good night.